All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, the real music observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. On today's show, I attempt to do some really bad math. So get ready for that. Fleetwood Mac and their current tour was reported back on March 19th via Henna Music that they would be probably making in the neighborhood of $100 million. Okay? And I'm thinking that's a gross income. Let's break that down a little bit, shall we? And yes, I will attempt to do some rudimentary math. That sounds like a lot of money. And obviously, that story is put out there to kind of tell all the Lindsay people out there that, see, they didn't need Lindsey Buckingham. They're going to make $100 million without him. So they made a good decision, firing him for no reason. By the way, I think I probably trademarked that particular saying, fired for no reason. I know most of the rock media has just described what happened and had no real reaction or opinion to it. Only the fans seem to care, and a good majority of the fans, I think, do side with Lindsey Buckingham. Some, of course, will still go see Fleetwood Mac without him because it's like seeing the car accident. You keep looking back, you're rubbernecking, and you want to see how the band is going to do this. And, the first appearance on, like, the Ellen show was enough for me to know that this was not going to go well. And, that's just my opinion. Eventually, the reviewers started to come around to my opinion. More recent reviews have been much more critical of the band than the early Puff Piece reviews, which, I have no evidence that anybody was paid to write nice things, but there is certainly a quid pro quo that could be part of, the whole media process when it comes to reviewing a band like Fleetwood Mac these days. Hey, we got you tickets. They're like 5 rows back. You can hang out with the band, meet and greet. Just don't ask them any questions. I don't know. It could be just the tickets alone or whatever. We'll give you a coupon for 10 free $15 beers. I don't know. 10 would probably be enough to actually enjoy the show, and then your ability to review would be impaired enough where you might actually write a really good review at 2 in the morning, especially because you want to pass out and go to bed. Now, it's just a theory, okay? Just a theory, just putting that out there. So, let's do some math quickly here. So, $100 million, that's what they say. All right, Lindsay gets $10 million from the lawsuit. So you're down to 90. Irving Azoff and his crew, I would say probably another 25 to 30 million right off of that. So we're already way down there. We're down around 50 million right now. And you've got, 5 major players on stage. Now, my theory is that those major players, at least the ones that aren't hired guns, and the hired guns would be Mike Campbell and Neil Finn, those major players are making about 12 million because that's what Lindsay wanted. So you really got 4 of them, and there's a good chance that Stevie Nicks makes the most. There's a good chance that her pay is higher. Since they decided to keep her, they probably had to pay her. You know what I'm saying? If they value her and think she's the one keeping the whole thing alive, if Lindsay was going to get 12, Stevie's probably going to get 15 or 20. I mean, once you start looking at who's left in the band and how much money they're probably going to get, that 50 million bucks, which I've calculated is probably left over after the lawsuits and Irving Azoff, and then you've also got the fact that ticket sales are probably going to go like this because when you reschedule a show, a lot of times people have already paid once for a plane ticket, possibly even booked a hotel, and in some circumstances, those things aren't refundable. So the ticket might have been refundable because, hey, they cancel the date, you can call and say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't go to that date now, the one that's in October. I already made plans, got off from my work and so forth, and spent all this money up front. I'm not going to do it again. So my guess is those later shows are probably going to struggle to sell tickets. Plus, the band would be tired and road weary, and I don't know if they'd be putting in their best effort, and the reviews might not be good around that time period for Fleetwood Mac. We shall see. Just a lot of speculation on my part. But you get down into, say, this single numbers when it comes to millions for these players, and you would think, hey, I would take 5 million. You and I would take that kind of money, but it kind of sounds more and more like Lindsey Buckingham made out really great, because he didn't have to tour, and he probably got about 10 million bucks, and his integrity is still intact, even if his vocal cords might not be. I mean, this has been a rough time for him and his wife, and the money has got to be helpful. I noticed the Buckinghams just put up another house that they had for sale, so they may be liquidating some assets to, I don't know, help them with Lindsey's rehabilitation. I don't know. Maybe Lindsey is planning to do some more recording. I hope his voice is well enough that he can do that eventually, but haven't heard much, and the Buckinghams tend to be very private people. So, getting back to the tour revenue, which Henna Music reported as $100 million, and they did that obviously to say to the Lindsey fans that, hey, the band didn't need him. Look at all the money they're raking in. Well, when it's all said and done, when everything is deducted off of that, the band members, the individual band members, don't really look like they're going to make the kind of money that Lindsey got in the lawsuit. And I forgot to mention, there's this whole other band around Fleetwood Mac that surround the stage. And I'm not saying those guys make a lot of money, but they probably, collectively, they're probably draining a couple more million off of, the payroll. So that'll drop things even more. And obviously you got road crew, setup, all of these different things that certainly will affect the bottom line. The bottom line on the Henna Music article is the 100 million isn't reality, especially considering that the group itself postponed dates, and like I say, things are going to happen in the future that probably will reduce their revenue. So is this tour really worth it for Fleetwood Mac to go through this, to get rid of Buckingham and to go through all of this, and in the end probably not make the kind of payoff that originally was thought that this band could do? I mean, Azoff certainly believed it, and everybody who decided to go forward without Lindsey believed it, but in hindsight, I don't think this is going to make the members all that much money. Maybe a few million each. Maybe Stevie gets 10 or 15, but other than that, I would say not that great of a tour for revenue. We'll see how it all pans out. I'm sure there'll be some puff piece articles that are written at the end of the day that tell us how amazing this tour was as far as revenue. But you and I both know it's not just about revenue. Even if they do make those numbers, this is about integrity and unity and harmony and talent, not mediocrity. But those days, at least when it comes to Fleetwood Mac, those days appear to be long gone. All right, done. Be back soon. See you.